So good Saturday afternoon, everybody. This is Tammy Terrell, otherwise known as Texas Desert Rose. I am from Denton, Texas, 30 miles north of Dallas and Fort Worth on the way to Oklahoma. Most people have gone through there, don't always, very rarely stop. Also the home of 3 different colleges, so that may be, a chance that people have been to Denton. I am a licensed professional counselor living in the land of sand, known as Bahrain, or as they might say in Texas, Bahrain. And living here, I'm a therapist with our military here, and honored to do so. And they got me started on doing what they call the AFN radio show each week, Ask a Therapist. And I found that I just didn't get enough talk time. We had to play music and advertisements. You know how it goes. So I've decided to start this little podcast. And I thank you for joining me. So today, I really want to dive into this topic of relationship red flags. I think we can all relate to this unless you're 2 years old. We've all had our struggles. And I want to talk about relationships in general, healthy and unhealthy. Lord knows I've had a lot of the second one, and it's actively difficult to make sure that I stay in the first one, the healthy communication and connections. I know many of you are out there single and dating, as well as people who are married who could use this information, or maybe you have the information, you just need a reminder. Okay, so of all the things in my life that I've done, let me just put it out there. I've counseled couples, individuals, and I've been alive 54 years, and I've counseled for 23. And by far, one of the most difficult things I've ever done is being in a relationship. But it's also wonderful and rewarding, especially if you have somebody who is as motivated as you are to work on it, because it's going to take work. And if you don't work, it's not going to work. Okay, it's all cliche. You've heard it before, but it's cliche because it's true. Family, friends, romantic, educational, career, they're all relationships. So let me make it clear again that today's topic isn't just for women. And it isn't just for the one who feels they're being abused or questioning their relationship. It's also for the one who is doing some of these things we'll talk about. It's for the one who sometimes loses their temper or gets loud in conversations, because we can be doing abusive and unhealthy behaviors and not even know it. We are all in this world learning. You don't know until you know, but once you know, it's your job to work on doing better. Okay? It's never just one person who's doing some of the negative or unhealthy behaviors. Seeing couples, I call it whack-a-mole. One will have produce the symptoms and the other one feels victimized. And then the more work we do, we find that when we work on those issues, get those taken care of, then the other person starts to present with some of the symptoms. So anyway, just interesting. It's never just one person. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other in general. One will be the overt one who's acting out. The other is the passive one, and then it can switch, and often does. One will be the yeller or the name caller, or just a bit more aggressive or use sarcasm. The other will be a little bit more passive aggressive using the sarcasm. I call this sideways anger. One seems more powerful, but it's the passive-aggressive one that can have the most power because they induce the other one to feel powerless. And all of this, I realize, takes a lot of awareness and introspection to look at what your part might be. It's easy to feel like the victim. It's easy to feel like you're the only one that's having something done to them. Much more difficult to look at your part in it, okay? For example, the one who uses the silent treatment to get their needs met, or they're frustrated because they're not getting their needs met, this is typically and generally the one who's quiet a lot but there are no absolutes. That is the one who's going to induce the other one to feel powerless and to become more aggressive. Now, don't hear me saying that it makes the person become aggressive. It's all a choice. We may act out of our emotions, out of our childhood wounds. Almost all of us have some kind of wound. I mean, it's just a fact. But again, the whole idea is to learn, and when we know better, we do better. So let's get into some of these, okay? Relationship red flags. Ask yourself in a relationship, how often do you feel criticized? Maybe it's in a very subliminal way. Maybe it's just that look. Maybe it's the, oh my gosh, the eye roll. And, oh, they're doing their thing again, you know. And I'm not talking about helpful, constructive criticism. I'm talking about feeling criticized, knocked down again. Ask yourself, I did this with a friend today. I had a phone conversation with them, hadn't talked to them about 6 months. And I noticed once again that when I get off the phone with them, I feel like, a little bit, just in a subtle way, that I've been punched in the gut. That's what I'm asking you to do. Ask yourself, how often do you feel this way? Is it a prevailing feeling? How often do you feel really good? Now, the goal isn't always to feel good, but certainly if you are feeling badly after most of your conversations, that's a relationship that really should be looked at. And is that how you want to feel? Do you feel like your thoughts and ideas are being invalidated or made fun of, or just a little bit of a sarcasm used? Especially in front of other people or in front of your children if you have them. Do you feel controlled by that person? If you're late coming home from the grocery store or from work, do you feel like you need to be on the defense and have a good reason? Or there'll be a fight? The overt behaviors are harder to deny, like name calling or hitting. It's obvious when the person does these things. They're obviously very unhealthy and not good for you. Are you doing them yourself? The more difficult things to catch are intentionally making you feel like you're dumb, ridiculous, or otherwise being minimized, especially if it's kind of a low-lying part of your environment. You get used to it, especially if you grew up in that. That is your normal. I urge you to question and look at whether that's how you want to feel. Do they ridicule you with the intent to make you feel badly? In a toxic relationship I was in, nothing was that obvious to me. Over time, and it took me a while, just started to notice that I didn't want to go home after work. I'd actually get a stomach ache when I pulled into my driveway. That's my body trying to tell me that what I'm in is not healthy. Listen to your body. Anxiety, extreme, like sick at your stomach. Some even have shared with me that they actually have the shakes when they're going home. And it takes a while to start noticing this, but if that's going on, look at why that is. If you need help, and it doesn't hurt to have feedback from healthy source, whether that be friends, I'm going to recommend a therapist, of course, because, it's not the same as talking to a friend. Therapist, other than being confidential, you're going to let all of your information fly, and you're going to be more vulnerable to a therapist. You're not trying to protect them. And when you walk out of the door, you know that they're going to let it go. There's a lot of reasons we'll talk about at some point that therapy is actually the way to go. But a good, solid, somewhat objective friend is actually very useful as well. Now, back to this relationship I was talking about. Looking back, I can't believe I didn't see it earlier. But remember, when you're in a tornado, it's hard to see it because things are swirling around. You're inside that tornado, you can't see through it. It becomes your normal. When you step out of it, it can be glaringly obvious. And then you then find out how many in your life saw it too and never said anything, or slowly they start, making mentions, like my best friend said, Tammy, you're not the same. I see you giving up all the things that mean so much to you. Are you okay? And that's exactly what was happening. I was no longer really going to church, which at the time was very important to me. I was skipping outings with friends. I was rushing home after work because I wanted to make sure that he was there, all was well. My intuition was picking up the fact that he was stepping out. Now, I am in no way saying that it's always the guy and that it's always stepping out. I'm saying that that's what was going on in this situation, and my intuition was picking up on it. Therefore, after work, I would rush home to make sure everything was okay. Did he make it home? Was he home on time? What kind of mood was he in? Am I needing to watch what I say and what I did? Even when things were good, I was wondering when it was going to get bad again. Okay, you get the idea. So, the big question is, in talking about relationship red flags, is it always necessary to leave a toxic relationship? It's a good question. The big question here is, are you two motivated to get help? Either with you or on their own. You can work with a life coach, a counselor, or any other resources out there. There's so many different things. Now, it's quite normal for therapists to be able to do telehealth, which means you can do online therapy if it's not convenient or safe these days to go into the office. Are they willing? And if they aren't, hands down, my suggestion is going to be to consider leaving the relationship. Life's too short. Now, that obviously has to be a decision you make for yourself. You get the consequences from it, and it's not always so easy. And it can even be dangerous if physical abuse is involved. So make sure you get the support before making this move. Make sure people are aware, people you trust. Get that support. Have a place to go. There are resources provided by a lot of the states and the counties. So take advantage of that. Look out for that. And it doesn't always cost. A lot of these are provided by your tax dollars. Okay? So along those same lines, it's very rare that I've seen someone be able to cold turkey control their old behaviors that they've been doing since young, and probably because of what they went through when they were young. A lot of it's based in trauma and anger, or a childhood of watching the same behaviors from their parents, and just be able to step back and fix themselves. We even have our reactions to those, right? It's the most useful to have someone objective or a healthy friend hold them or hold you accountable. It needs to be different friends. I don't think the same friend should hold both accountable. But having an accountability partner for making healthy decisions for yourself can be a wonderful tool. And having said that, it isn't so easy to leave an unhealthy relationship either. Even though there's a history of being treated badly, those are often the most difficult relationships to let go of because it taps into our own addiction. Maybe that addiction of, I want to make this relationship work. I want to try to fix this. That is not healthy thinking because it's never one person. You cannot control or fix anything outside of your skin. Let me say that again. You cannot control anything or anyone outside of your skin. You can invite them to make some changes. You can invite them to join you for counseling, but you cannot control them. If that's why you're in it, take a true look at it. If that's why you're in the relationship, it's not a healthy one or a healthy reason for being in it. And especially if you had a parent who treated you the same way or you observed it all of your life, one parent or the other being treated badly, maybe you took the role of the one being treated badly. Maybe you took the role of the one who was